So thank you very much, Niklas, for this. I was about to say, oh Jesus. I'm not sure how we will kind of, what we will call you going forward, but thank you so much for this excellent presentation. The next person here, Henna Virkkunen, who's the Executive Vice President in the European Commission for Tech Sovereignty, Security and Democracy, a very important topic also for capital markets. Please.
Yes, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here today with you, and especially when you have such an important topic on agenda, competitiveness and also capital markets role here. And as we know, it's one of the key enablers to make sure that Europe is competitive in the future. I'm sure that you have recognized that for this Commission we have clearly two priorities, competitiveness and security. And in these first 100 days we have been in the office, most of our actions, they have been very much focusing to these areas. In the end of January we published our competitiveness compass, and there we identified 3 sectors where we have to take big steps forward now. One is closing innovation gap to China and to USA. Second pillar is making sure that our clean transition is supporting our competitiveness, that we have all the time also business deal here when we are greening our economies and our industries. And the third pillar is very much to making sure that we have economic security in the European Union, that we are not too dependent on any third countries when it comes to some critical sectors. And we identified also that we have 5 horizontal enablers here. First one is simplification. So we are very committed to that we want to cut red tape and administrative burden from our industries and from our businesses in the European Union. The work has already started. So first, the simplification package, so-called Omnibus, was presented from the Commission side a few weeks ago, and there will be several that kind of omnibuses during this year. And second pillar is very much about the single market. So we have to make sure that we are removing barriers between our member states in the European Union. Nowadays, when the geopolitical tensions are very high, single market is more needed, and we have to use full potential of our single market also in the same time when we want to be active when it comes to trade partnerships. Third part is Capital Markets Union, and here our key initiative was published yesterday, Savings and Investments Union. I will come back to that later. I'm sure that many of you have been already reading the strategy yesterday. And then fourth part is access to talented people. It's super important for our competitiveness because we know that we are aging continent as a European Union, and we need to be an attractive place for the talented people all over the world. And also, of course, we have to make sure that we are educating the people who are already here very well, and we have also opportunities to update the skills during the working career. And the fifth part, horizontal enable to make sure that we are competitive is of course a very close cooperation with our member states. Like the Minister also said, that it's not enough that we are working in the European Union level. We have to make sure that also the member states and often also the regions and municipalities, they are taking the same actions. For example, when we speak investments, often the permitting processes can be, for example, very long in the European Union, and when we are competing on international investments and when permitting processes are playing a role, it's also important that we are faster there, for example. So we are very committed to make sure that Europe is competitive in the future. Yesterday we also had big proposals published when it comes to our defense and security. And here we are also looking at private capital because it's needed to boost our defense industry investments in the European Union. Always when we look at the public funding in the EU, we are quite good when it comes to technologies or defense industry also, but we are often lacking private investments, and there we have a lot of work to do. So I will share you with the relevant EU initiatives that will support financial resilience and Europe's competitiveness here. And first, when we gather here, and I have digitalization in my portfolio, I want to highlight first the digitalization of the financial sector with the fintech solutions broadening access to finance and business models changing as innovative market participants deploy new technologies. So the European Union has been implementing the digital finance strategy. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with that. And it's setting 4 strategic priorities. First of all, removing fragmentation in the digital single market for financial services. Secondly, ensuring also that EU's regulatory framework facilitates digital innovation, followed by putting in place a European financial data space. And last but not least, also addressing challenges and risks associated with the digital transformation. So this strategy is our compass now for the coming years. We have made a choice in the European Union to regulate across many areas when it comes to digital finance, in close cooperation with our international partners and based on international standards also. Going forward, we will pay particular attention to the application on AI in finance and develop also our policy on asset tokenization. And when it comes to AI, I have high expectations towards Nordics here because we know that these are the most digitalized countries in the European Union, and often it has been financial sector who has been leading also the process. And when it comes to AI, we can also see that in Nordic countries, the industry is much more applying AI than in many other regions in the European Union. So also when it comes to AI and financial sector, I'm very much looking for Nordics here. And here, of course, we are working now very closely with the Commissioner of Finance, Mrs. Albuquerque, on these areas. Just yesterday, we had our first working group when it comes to AI and financing also. Secondly, also the financial services sector is it's part of our security environment as a whole, as we know. We are very much in the European Union, we are under attack. And we know that financial sector, it's one of the sector who is facing 1/5 of cyber attacks today. And there has been more than 100% growth now every single year. So this is, of course, threatening our financial stability and public trust. And that is, of course, what also the attackers, they want. They want to destabilize our societies. And it's a very easy way to destabilize the society if the people don't trust or if they don't have access to their finances. So we know also that the risks are growing. Because beyond these traditional threats like phishing and malware, we now face also more and more AI-powered fraud, deepfake scams, for example, and also quantum computing vulnerabilities that could compromise sensitive financial data. So we have to be very well prepared. From the legislative part, we have been preparing in the European Union. We have several cybersecurity rules now in place. NIS2 directive, also Digital Operational Resilience Act and Cyber Resilience Act, and also Cyber Solidarity Act. So we are trying to prepare in the European Union level. But we know that, of course, implementation is key here, and also that we have enough skilled people, enough resources to work here, and also to make sure that we are training and exercising these accidents. So additionally, European Cybersecurity Competence Center is now investing in cybersecurity capability building, and the cyber hubs are now providing real-time threat intelligence and rapid response capabilities. So we are very closely cooperating with our industries and stakeholders here and trying to make sure that we have European approach, because often these cyber incidents, they don't know borders. And we have challenges, for example, when it comes to information sharing between stakeholders and different member states, because often everybody is so busy with the cyber attacks that they don't have time to report and inform others, but often many other entities are under attack in the same time. So the EU is not only protecting financial institutions, but also ensuring trust and security for citizens and businesses with these actions. Because we know that when banking, payments and investment platforms are secure, then consumers, they can trust to their digital transactions, and this of course will boost financial innovation and also our economic growth. That is always something what we are underlining very much when we speak about digital opportunities and digital environment in the European Union, that we want to make sure that we have safe and fair, democratic and also trustworthy digital environment. So it's also good basis for innovators and investors when they can trust to our services and to our security here. We know that without strong cybersecurity, market confidence would suffer, deterring also investments and slowing down Europe's digital transformation. So we must continue to invest in cybersecurity and strengthen also collaboration between the public and private sectors, as cyber resilience, it's just not a regulatory requirement, but also foundation of Europe's financial security and future prosperity. And of course, thirdly, for Europe to remain competitive, we need also very strong and thriving financial sector that can invest in digital technologies, also to our defense industry and to our clean transition. Now we know that about 70% of EU's retail savings are currently held as bank deposits. So about 10 trillion euros of the household's savings is on bank accounts, with only 30% held in the form of capital market instruments. And at the same time, EU has a major investments needs, which the Draghi report also estimated at additional 800 billion euros per year by 2030. So private investments are also very much needed here. And that is because, that's why one of our key initiatives under Competitiveness Compass was the Savings and Investment Union Strategy, what was published yesterday. And it's a key initiative to strengthen EU's prosperity and competitiveness, support innovation, drive the green transition and also promote digital and tech diffusion and also our security investments. So it aims at developing a strategy for supporting household wealth creation by increasing the returns on savings of EU citizens, while also widening the financing opportunities for businesses in the European Union. So this Savings and Investment Union will be based on key aspects such as encouraging retail participation in capital markets and also increasing the financial literacy of citizens. It's quite alarming when we are looking at the European level that only 18% of the citizens, they have financial literacy. There's big differences also between the member states, what kind of actions they have been taking here, but of course we have to also raise awareness among citizens about financial investments. And also we are creating better rules for more dynamic investment environment for equity financing, particularly venture and growth capital funds. And also we want to remove sources of fragmentation when it comes to EU capital markets, such as barriers to EU trading and post-trading infrastructures, and also further developing the asset management sector. And also we want to have more efficient and harmonized supervision to ensure that financial market operators, that they receive the same supervisory treatment in the European Union. And in the same time, of course, we have to look all the time our rules also to make sure that our finance sector is competitive when we are comparing to global scale. So we have to also follow the actions what the other continents are doing. So we also need to address the challenges faced by European startups here, because this is one of the areas where we have big potential in the European Union. We know that we have, for example, a quite similar level when it comes to startups if we are comparing the USA, but it's still very difficult to scale up in the European Union. So there's too many barriers. Of course, barriers in the single market, but often also access to financing is one of the problems for our startups. So we are also preparing now our startup and scale-up strategy, and there we will provide also concrete measures to support their growth and competitiveness, because it's a great asset for us. For example, when it comes to AI, we have super active startups here in the European Union. We have more researchers than any other continent in the world when we are comparing to our citizens or per capita, but in the same time we still have problems to innovate here in the European Union and scale up the businesses. And let me finish by highlighting now the Nordic financial ecosystem as a leading example in financial technology innovations. Like I said, that I have very high expectations toward your work because you have been often leading very much the digitalization in financial sector, and also now when it comes to new technologies like AI, I'm sure that you will be the front runners also here. And we can see that your very strong digital infrastructures, they have been providing a very solid foundation for these new innovations. And we can also learn from the Nordics, from its success in fostering a vibrant fintech ecosystem and also promoting open finance. And we also can see that the Nordic venture capital scene, it's a great example for us how we can see that the active investments in startups is working, and also the fundraising side when it comes to venture capital here. So while this region startup ecosystem continues to thrive, addressing the challenges related to growth capital is crucial, of course, sustaining long-term competitiveness on the global scale. And in conclusion, we see that the financial sector is also, we can see that it's on a crossroad, impacted by the digital transition, but also legislation and increased threats such as cybersecurity. But I'm sure that we have to give the right support for this sector and make the right investments that this sector can also thrive and drive Europe's competitiveness. So I see that we must work here together to address these challenges and risks associated with the digital transformation, and to create a strong and resilient financial sector that can invest in digital technologies and also support the growth of European businesses. So I will very much count on your support to make these plans a reality for European businesses. And I want to wish you a very fruitful discussion today. And I really see that the capital markets, it's a key for our competitiveness. And I'm sure that the solutions you will find today here during this day and in the panel discussions, they will also support and help us to achieve our goals when it comes to competitiveness.